Welcome back to PHP Security Pitfalls with Joost van Veen. In the previous video we had a look at how important securing data handling is. Well, in this video we'll be validating data, both client-side and server-side. The idea behind data validation is that you check if the data you're dealing with is valid. And that is, if it's the kind of data you would expect, and most importantly, if it is not what you expected, abort what you were doing, because the data will most likely be tainted. Basically, you can break down data validation into client-side and server-side validation. We'll have a look at client-side validation first and see why it's utterly useless in terms of security. Now let's do validation on the most obvious data input, a form. I'll just create a new folder in my project here and we'll call that validation. The source code for this course will be available, by the way. Inside of this folder I will create a new PHP file called index.php, like so. And for now what we're going to do is just copy in some HTML boilerplate code. Right, now what I would like to do is create some sort of login form. So we'll just start by creating form tags, and inside of that form tags I'll just create a paragraph. Now this is just for giving me some quick layout. This is not good coding practice. So we need an email address. Let's create an input for that. It will be of the type email, so HTML5 can validate it. It will have a name and an ID of email. We don't need a value, and the placeholder will be email. And also we'll add an extra HTML5 tag called required. This will tell your browser that this is a required field. Okay, let's just quickly copy that. Okay, and we'll need a password field as well, so that will be of the type password. It will have a name of password, an ID of password. We don't need a placeholder, and that will be a required field as well. And last but not least, we'll need a submit button. And let's just fill that out as well. That will be a value of login, and that's it. Now this should give us a pretty basic login form, and just to make sure we can see if anything was posted, we'll just open up some PHP tags here and say that if we do have a post, we'll just dump the post array to the screen like so. And I'm just thinking we've got a label, so we don't need this placeholder here, so let's just delete that. Okay, let's have a look at this form in our browser. There it is, a nice login form. Now, these HTML5 form fields already include validation. You can get the same results using JavaScript, by the way. You see, if I try to post the form without any values, I get a validation error asking me to please fill out the first field. Okay, so I'll just type in some gibberish there and post it again, and it will ask me to please enter an email address. Okay, now I'll just complete the form using proper input, and it posts like there's no tomorrow. So this validation does work, but the problem with this kind of validation is that it's being done by the client, which is why it's called client-side validation. And anything done client-side can be easily bypassed or spoofed. You see, it would be very easy for me to just open up Firebug and just grab the form tag and edit it inside of my browser. We'll just temporarily add no validate here, which is an HTML5 tag telling the browser not to validate the form, and now I can just post this form like there's no tomorrow. You see, we have all these empty strings here, and that's great. In fact, I don't even need to be on this form to be able to post to it. I can just use an HTTP client, pass in the URL, set the method to post, the content type header to application form URL encoded, and I can basically pass in every post value that I want. Just hit send here, and there you go. So as you can see, client-side validation makes for a better user experience, but from a security point of view, it's practically useless, and you should never ever rely on it. Always validate server-side, or you will be attacked with insecure data. Now, let's add some simple server-side validation rules to our file. We'll create a simple validation class in the next video.